Hey, welcome back. Today we've got the Behringer SD8 in for a look and a teardown. These have been on the market now for 9 years. I think they were introduced at the 2015 NAMM show, and I'd imagine at this point that many, if not most of you, have probably used one. You can support these videos by joining the channel either here on YouTube or on Patreon, or by just using the affiliate links in the description below. These don't get a lot of attention or discussion online, probably because they are a utility item that you don't think of too often, but they are an impressive value and a powerful little box for smaller acts and smaller venues. They also do more than just work as an 8x8 snake, but we'll talk about that more in a few minutes. Although these come clad with rubber, so you can put them right on the floor, they're also rack mountable. The ears are included, so there's no extra kit to buy, and the unit only takes up 2 rack spaces if you want to do that.
Nice.
One small gripe I have with this design overall is having the power and AES-50 network cables connecting on opposing ends. That kind of thing is always tricky for cable management, but when you rack the unit, that becomes a non-issue, and it even protects those connectors from stage traffic. Power is supplied by standard IEC cable, and it would be great if that was a locking cable like QSC uses, but it's very nice that the power input can be anywhere from 100 to 240 volts in either 50 or 60 hertz, meaning that you don't have to convert power if you're taking these traveling into foreign countries. You can see I'm struggling to get these ribbon cables out because they've thankfully used a little bit of hot glue to secure them, so if they're riding around or getting bumped in normal use, they're not just going to wiggle out on their own. So points for that, even if it looks like I'm having a hard time with it here for this video. As we separate the two halves, we can see that one side is really just the power supply with the 2 AES-50 ports on one end. Taking a quick look at the AES-50 port circuitry, they've used a lattice FPGA or field programmable gate array. This time it's the LFE5U25F, and next door to that we can see a Giga device GD32F303, and that's a general purpose ARM microcontroller. Moving over to the other half of the case, I'll let you explore this side on your own. You can pause and zoom in for more detail, but I will point out the Midas M8000 analog to digital converter they've used on the input side here. That is the same A to D we saw in the Midas DN4888 when we took that apart in a video a few weeks ago. On the digital to analog conversion side, they've opted for a Cirrus Logic CS4385CQZ 24-bit 192K package, which is an interesting choice when they also make the M9000 DAC that we saw in the Midas DN4888. Getting back to the whole unit though, most users will be interested in these as a digital stage box to use in conjunction with an X or M series or wing mixer. But it's easy to overlook that these can be used as part of a standalone digital snake when you combine them with a Behringer S16 or a Midas DL16 stage box. In these configurations, control over phantom power and the preamp gain can be done remotely via MIDI, so that's a handy feature to know about, especially if you own more than one stage box from Music Tribe. The other really nice feature on the SD8 here is its ability to power up to 2 PM16 personal monitor stations, and the bigger version of this, the SD16, can do up to 4 of those. With either the SD8 or 16 though, you can also connect a PowerPlay distributor to support more personal monitor stations, and you can read all about those. They have a really high limit on how many of those you can do at once. It's pretty impressive. And for those of you that haven't used a Behringer Wing yet, it's important to note that the Wing does not have an Ultranet port on it by default. So if you want to get into doing the PowerPlay monitor stations or use Ultranet for anything else, this is a really affordable way to bring that into your Wing ecosystem. Another feature that's really easy to overlook on these boxes is the last 2 inputs, 7 and 8, are set up on the combo jacks for high impedance inputs. So if you've got an instrument with passive pickups or anything else with a higher impedance that you don't want to load down, you can plug right in here, no additional equipment required. Very handy. I've seen some confusion online about the switch here next to the AES50 port, and all it does is simply let you choose which output channels on the AES50 feed you want to have show up on the XLR outputs. So if you have multiples of these, you can either choose to have the same 8 show up on multiple boxes, or you can have 1 through 8 on one box and then 9 through 16 on the next box, and so on. One thing I have seen trip people up with these boxes and all of Behringer and Midas's stage boxes over the years is not using the correct cabling to connect the stage box to the mixer. It's extremely important to use a high quality shielded stranded twisted pair cable with Ethercon connections on each end that are properly terminated. If you just use some random cable off a spool that you have left over from an installation, you're going to have issues. And if you use unshielded cable, you're going to have issues. So pay attention and make sure that you leave some room in the budget to get high quality cable, and make sure that it's put together according to the specs. It's really important for all digital snake systems, but it's particularly the lower cost ones where folks seem to have an issue by just trying to use whatever cable they have on hand. That's understandable, but to get the reliable, consistent, and predictable results that we want from these systems, we really do have to pay attention to the cable we're using. So with the specs and capabilities out of the way, what I'd really love to hear is your experience with these boxes. If you can, let us know in the comments what you think of them compared to the other Behringer and Midas boxes you've used, or also how you think they stack up to the other brands of stage boxes that you've spent time with. I'd be especially interested to hear what configurations you're running as well, and if you're using the personal monitor mixers or any other accessories with these. Like I said earlier, I think these are a fantastic value considering how much they do. I think they're built well, and they've certainly been one of the more popular Behringer products in the last 10 years, and they're still very much relevant nearly a decade after being introduced. But that's all I've got for this one. As always, thanks for sticking around and watch until the end. I'll see you next time.